Hey everybody, I'm Shields, also known as the Lord of Half Castle, and I'm going to be doing an introduction to a new D&D campaign that hopefully one day I'll be able to run, but for now I'm going to be playing through it solo. Alright, so the rule set I'm using for this campaign is Old School Essentials Advanced. It's BX D&D, basically, and the advanced version comes with some more classes and monsters, and it's kind of built around a campaign play, so I feel like it's going to be a good fit for this campaign. Okay, so in my notes, the campaign level is 3 to 6, so that means characters are going to be starting at level 3, just so that they have some more, power, and, they're able to hold their own against all the many different variety of monsters I want to use for this campaign. Now, I've limited the amount of classes that are allowed, just so I can have some structure to the campaign. And just personally, I don't want to be flipping through the book thinking, oh man, what class should I play? There's so many options. So I wrote down all the classes that are allowed in this campaign, which are fighter, cleric, magic user, thief, dwarf, elf, bard, druid, halfling, knight, and paladin. All right. This campaign takes place in the Barony of Darkmarsh, which is an area in my homebrew world, which isn't too important to know about in order to play this campaign, but all you need to know is that most of the action will be taking place in sort of this region. So, a week before the campaign starts, the village of Corvin was assaulted by a monster horde coming from this abandoned, lost, ancient dwarven mine. The village was left devastated after the attack, and a NPC named Ramsey, who is the village astrologist, has determined that the mines have a magical ancient dwarven door that only opens on Saturday in the week and then closes at Sunday at midnight, which means there's about a 12-hour window one day of the week in the campaign where the dungeon doors are open and the players can freely enter. After midnight on Sunday, the doors will close and the dungeon cannot be entered from the outside until the next week. Or if the characters are trapped inside the dungeon, they're going to have to figure out a way to survive. Alright, so for this campaign, I've written down some win and lose conditions. The win condition is that the 3 dungeon bosses, which are levels 1 through 3, are defeated. And this basically means that there's going to be 3 levels in this dungeon, and each level is going to have like a boss monster. I don't know what the boss is yet, but you win once you defeat the boss monsters, which means basically, leadership crumbles in the dungeon. The rest of the monsters, they either kind of wipe each other out in the power vacuum, or they just flee the mine in general. Now, you can lose if the dungeon bosses still live after December 1st, and then they assault the town. So what that basically means is the campaign is going to start on November 1st, and then on December 2nd, if there's still a dungeon boss that's alive, then the monsters will full on assault the town and wipe it out, and the campaign is over with. Okay, so for my solo play, I've just listed some resources that I'm going to be using in the campaign. Like I said, just added some structure, just, not to go completely, into the wild, willy-nilly, pulling out stuff that doesn't necessarily fit together. Just to keep my mind focused on what I want to achieve for the campaign. So the first resource is Scarlet Heroes, which is an OSR game. It's made for solo play. And what I plan on using out of this is the tables in the back that kind of detail NPCs and they detail features. Just mainly for detailing NPCs is what I'm going to be using Scarlet Heroes for. Alright, so for my solo RPG Oracle, which is going to help me answer some questions that would normally be answered by a DM, I'm going to be using OSR Solo, which is a PDF that you can get on DriveThruRPG. It's a great supplement, a great Oracle. It's my favorite. I highly recommend it to any solo player. I'm also going to be pulling out the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide just as a general fantasy/D&D resource, and if there's some tables that I feel like I can pull from here, I'm going to go ahead and use those. Oh, another thing to mention is this book has a pretty detailed guide on how to run a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and I'm going to be using some of the principles from this book for my campaign. Now, this is kind of a new one I picked up. This is the Solo Wargaming Guide. I'm going to be using this mainly for the weather tracker, just so I can track the weather throughout the days. I'm kind of thinking about either using the time tracking system from this game or creating a simpler time tracking system just to track the days, but I'm definitely going to be using the weather tracker from this book. And finally, for dungeon mapping and other random generation purposes, I'm going to be using this awesome website called Wizard Dawn. This is actually the first floor of the mine, and I'm going to kind of go into detail about this in just a second. Also, it's worth mentioning as far as dungeon detailing goes, I'm going to be mainly using the tables out of the reference book to this game and a little bit from this game. Now, I decided that the dungeon was going to have 3 levels, 5 rooms per level, 1 dungeon boss, and 1 secret staircase. That's not completely the case anymore, given I generated this huge map with Wizard Dawn. So basically, this is the entrance. These are the 2 double doors that will close in 12 hours. And basically, I left it blank because I want to use generation tables as my characters are exploring the dungeon. And, the map itself could give you some ideas because this, a bunch of beds. Obviously, this could be like a lair or something like that. But anyways, there is somewhere on this level a secret staircase. So the staircase can be in any of these rooms, and basically my characters have to just they'll go around and then they'll do like a search check and roll a d6, and they have a chance of finding the secret staircase. Their staircase is on the map, but that doesn't necessarily mean this is the staircase that's going to take them to the lower level of the dungeon. So yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. And like I said, they have 12 hours, so I'm going to be tracking the time as they go through the dungeon. And if these doors close, then if they're still in the dungeon, they're trapped, which I have some rules for that right here. So I said if the characters get trapped in the mine, roll a d6 for each passing day. If 1 or below, which means if I roll 1 or below that, a random encounter, and if there's no encounter that day, add a +1. So, for example, if they miss an encounter on day 1, then on day 2 they have a higher chance of getting an encounter. That's basically just to simulate, they're trapped in basically enemy territory, and they might also still explore the dungeon as the days go on, possibly. But then I also factored in that each day they need to consume rations. Now, the way I do rations is you only need 1 ration to feed the entire party. So, if they have 7 rations, they can last a week. If they don't have any rations, they have to save versus death and take d6 starvation damage. So it's possible that the characters can just starve in the dungeon. And also, I forgot to mention, if the characters, if they leave the dungeon and the dungeon doors are shut, then over the course of the week they can do some side quests for extra XP. Just for things I was thinking about, maybe running supply, guarding supply caravans from Corvin to Ambertine, or maybe some of the soldiers at Dawnwall need some help assaulting this evil tower or whatever. So yeah, there's going to be extra ways to get golden XP beyond going into the dungeon. Alright, thanks for watching, and if you guys would like to see me kind of do a campaign log of my solo campaign of this, go ahead and let me know, and have a good rest of your day, guys, and happy gaming.